Hello ladies and gents, this is arming the AC-130 gunship with long-range strike missiles, perchance Sandboxx. AC-130, my favorite plane or even a thing ever. I fucking love AC-130. I don't know which, I think it was Factoration video, right? I think it was Factoration video, then other channel videos. Basically AC-130 is so awesome, it's basically how if you take a toddler or even like a toddler, I don't care. If you take a toddler and tell him like what is the most awesome thing you can make of, he'll probably draw two things. One is a dinosaur and second thing will be AC-130. A plane who can do a lot of things. A plane with a howitzer. So now it also has long range missiles. Why the fuck not? Why not? Right? I'm guessing something like Rapid Dragon. Or maybe they just add cannons. I don't fucking know. Right? They just fuck it, let's go Star Wars or something. Right? We add cannons to this shit. I know when the lasers becomes more and more viable, they will add lasers to AC-130. Right? They will add drones to this thing just so it can have like, even without stealth, it has some kind of defense. So like some missiles come like drones can like absorb it or something. Like missile absorbing drones. When drones become cheaper, drones will circle AC-130, right? So when a missile comes, like drones can like basically explode into it. So AC-130 is safe. Swarm defense. I just think of all this shit. This is gonna be a great video. Let's watch it.
The U.S. Air Force wants to arm its powerhouse AC-130 gunships with yet another weapon. This time, a long-range cruise missile that can strike targets north of 450 miles away. Now, the AC-130J Ghost Rider is the latest and most advanced iteration of these close air support platforms. And to be clear, right up front...
Yeah, Americans, man. I don't know, like... I remember, like, Top Gear episode where Jeremy Clarkson said, if Americans hosted F1, F1 would be so awesome. There would be, like, random pyrotechnics going off, some ridiculous shit, all the crazy, like... fun killing things would be removed. This is basically that. What should we call this new iteration? Let's call it Ghost Rider. Why the fuck not? Okay, what is coming? A Ghost Rider is coming. Yeah, everything's gonna be dead now.
These are not stealthy aircraft. The AC-130 is based directly on the legendary C-130 Hercules, but what it lacks in stealth, the Ghost Rider makes up for with firepower. This aircraft is equipped with 30mm and massive 105mm cannons. That is a howitzer, as well as a long list of air-to-ground munitions, including GBU-39 small diameter bombs, GBU-69 small glide bombs, AGM-114 Hellfire missiles, and AGM-176 Griffin missiles. But despite carrying all that heat, the Ghost Rider cannot engage targets any further out than...
It has Hellfires. I didn't know that. Like, it's already awesome. Like, I get it, like, now the Titan long range, because it already has a short range missiles. Why not? Why not just add cannons? Why not?
Roughly 20 miles. And that is a big problem, because the AC-130 is meant to provide close air support to special operations troops behind enemy lines. And if the US were to find itself in a fight with a nation like, say, China, well, the Ghost Rider would provide a very juicy target for any number of Chinese air defense systems. But that is where Leidos comes in with their Black Arrow cruise missile. Now, details about this weapon are still very scant, but we know it completed captive carry flight tests and inert drop tests from an AC-130J this past October, and was supposed to roll straight into full flight tests not long after. But whether or not they've begun, we can't say, because the Air Force has been very tight-lipped about the testing of this weapon system. But based on statements released by Leidos officials and the Air Force Special Operations Command request that prompted this weapon, we can assess with a pretty high likelihood that the weapon likely has a range in excess of 400 nautical miles. Now that is roughly 460 miles for those of us who aren't pirates. And that,
yeah, if Bostons want to attack Washington, now they can. There you go. That's what this graph says.
That speaks to how cruise missiles can provide a very different strike capability from the weapons currently carried by the Ghost Rider. So if you find yourself wondering what's the difference between this Black Arrow cruise missile and the missiles the Ghost Rider already carries, like The Hellfire, the difference is really found in the propulsion. The Hellfire missile and similar weapons are powered by rocket motors that burn very quickly to reach their targets, whereas the Black Arrow and other cruise missiles are usually powered by air-breathing jet engines, not all that dissimilar from a fighter jet or other tactical aircraft. Now that makes it possible for these weapons to fly a lot like aircraft, along fairly horizontal flight paths over very long ranges, thanks to that air-breathing jet propulsion. And we also know that the weapon will carry a multi-mode seeker, which means multiple different types of guidance. But what types exactly Leidos has not disclosed. Chances are pretty good it will include a GPS-assisted inertial navigation system, and maybe either an electro-optical imaging sensor or a millimeter wave radar seeker.
Yeah, they basically add all the shit they have. I mean, because it's a fail-safe, right? Because today's technology, countries like China or something like take out satellites if they need to. What are the chances they can take everything out? Like, I mean, maybe they can, but it's just like they'll probably add everything to this, right? I don't know. Against China, I don't see AC-130 working, right? China is that advanced, right? Like, what is the second country close to USA which is powerful, which is like China? So there's like top two countries. I think like China versus USA would be devastating. I don't see that happening, at least not at the scale. But if that happens, AC-130 is not going to work, right? If like just say like apocalyptic war breaks out where just like all out like invasion level shit happens, maybe certain regions, control areas, AC-130 might work, but I don't see that happening with China and USA. If that happens, we are all dead anyway, so like doesn't matter.
But in any regard, this weapon is meant to operate in degraded or denied GPS environments, so it will not rely on GPS alone for its navigation. And while this missile is being tested first aboard Special Operations gunships, Leidos has been clear that it could have much broader applications than that, including platforms like the MQ-9 Reaper, which they say could carry 8 of them in standard flight operations. Now, this weapon is said to be roughly 80 inches long with a 9-inch diameter, but even that can vary pretty dramatically because Leidos says this is a supremely modular system, similar in some ways, they say, to a loaf of bread, where you can pull big chunks of the middle out and replace it with different slices. Those modular chunks could be different warheads or different guidance systems, maybe even electronic warfare suites or intelligence surveillance.
I think this modular thing has been on rise because of Ukraine-Russia thing. Whenever they supplied munitions to like Ukraine, a lot of like technologies, they have to like send experts and train people. If it's simple as just like modular like this, you don't need to train people. Like, let's say some kind of big ass World War III level shit breaks out, you need to supply ammunition to even someone who's not in US, like some NATO countries or somebody else. You don't need to train them if things are just easier.
And reconnaissance or ISR equipment down the road. And because these weapons offer such significant range, they could even allow platforms like the AC-130 and other similarly non-stealth aircraft to strike enemy air defenses from so far out that their surface-to-air missiles couldn't even shoot back. Russia's highly touted S-400 Triumph, for instance, gets the 400 in its name from its maximum engagement envelope of roughly
I like how you put emphasis on Triumph.
400 kilometers. Now that's less than 250 miles, and that means with these weapons, an AC-130J could, at least theoretically, take out an S-400 from more than 100 miles further away than the S-400 could even target the AC-130. Of course, in real combat operations, something like that's pretty unlikely to happen.
Yeah, but these are jet propelled, so it's not that fast compared to like rocket propelled, right? So can something like S-400 or some other system can take out rocket before it can reach its target just the way something can take out a plane?
But because this weapon carries an onboard data link as well, it can even get updated target information from other aircraft and sensors in the battle space, including forward advancing F-35s. Now, Leidos touts these weapons as not just being very capable, but also being very inexpensive and easy to produce, which is important because the US is trying to maximize.
I feel like Block 4, right? Block 4, when F-35 goes through Block 4, which will take time, but once it like finishes and it's successful, we've done the testing, like US can flex even more, because they didn't just update a plane, they updated the whole fucking system, because that could do a lot of things with all the systems like this. So whole air defense become much more sturdier, right? Air support, air defense, everything.
The amount of firepower it can bring to bear in the fight. And Leidos is not the only company with a dog in this low-cost cruise missile fight, as earlier this year, Anduril also announced their own line of low-cost, high-production capacity cruise missiles and their Barracuda M line of weapons. And while I can't tell you exactly how Leidos' Black Arrow is performing in tests, or when or if Anduril's Barracuda M will see the same, I can say that the Air Force's interest in these weapons points to two very specific things. The first is that the Air Force wants to extend the engagement ranges of practically all of its platforms to counter increasingly advanced air defense systems. But the second is the fact that the Air Force is looking to arm a much broader variety of aircraft for the fight, which would dramatically complicate matters for adversary military planners who no longer only need to worry about fighters and bombers striking their targets, but they could soon need to worry about cargo planes and drones striking those targets as well. Or at least that's the plan behind Black Arrow and similar weapons. Whether or not it ultimately manifests in operation is yet to be seen.
There will be hurdles. Let's not, get this twisted in any way. There will be hurdles. There will be news lines, oh, by the way, America sucks and like this system doesn't work. And the fucked up thing is American news channels would say that, just like they did that with the F-35. But yeah, things will get ironed out and it will work. That's the whole thing, right? US has the money, right? Biggest economy in the world, twice as bigger economy than the second place, China. And they can like spend a shit ton of money, right? China has advantage over like having like cheaper materials, so they can do things cheaply than America, I guess. But yeah, so America can do a lot of shit like this, and the main thing is their innovation, right? Like science and technology basically is in America, right? Everybody else can try to follow up, but that's about it. Yeah, AC-130, fucking awesome plane, right? Like, this is so awesome that I think like inner child of all the American leaders, like senators, whatever, will ask for some newer version of AC-130, stealthier if they can or some shit, I don't know. But I think shit like this is never going away, right? Attack cargo plane, why not? Alright, well, if you like my content, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.